Hello and a good morning, good afternoon and a very good evening to you, the good and wonderful people of the tube. Hope today, hope you're feeling grand and all's well in your world. Hello everybody. Today's vid, everybody. I got a comment recently actually, which said, what do I look for when I go to buy a new guitar? You know, and is there any kind of like, you know, anything I should be looking for when buying a new guitar? So I thought what I'd do, instead of just kind of like answering that comment, I thought I'll do a whole video on that, because I think this is kind of an important thing. Like, you know, when you go into a guitar shop, you know, you kind of... I think there are certain things you can do to make the process easy and a lot more fun. So I'm going to talk about kind of like, you know, where my brain lies in this, so to say, if you will. So, so the number one main thing... Well, in all fairness, everything I'm going to talk about today is kind of like main thing, if you will. But this is one of the biggest things I find, personally. And it's kind of a pet peeve of mine, to be perfectly honest with you, with certain guitar shops and certain people who sometimes come with you when you go to buy a new guitar. This is the main thing, is don't get influenced by anybody but yourself. Like, if you go to the shop to buy a Les Paul, like, you know, the East Coast here, I want a gold top Les Paul, say, and you go to a guitar shop, and there is one, but your mate or the guitar shop employee or whatever goes, oh, you don't want that, you want this instead, and they direct your attention to something else altogether that you're not interested in. Don't be swayed by other people's opinions. If you want a gold top Les Paul, go and buy a gold top Les Paul. You know what I mean? Like, don't be swayed by what other people tell you should be buying or you should be using. At the end of the day, it's down to what you want. It's going to be your guitar. It's not going to be theirs. You know, and I have been in guitar shops before where they have tried to force instruments on me. Like, oh, you should buy this one. You should buy this one. You should buy this one. And it's like, oh, I don't want that one. I want that one. Nah, you don't want that one. That's no good. You want this one. This one's so much better for you. And it'll fit you. Nah, none of that. Go buy what you want. So if you want to go and buy a Strat, Telecaster, Les Paul, BC Rich, Warlock, whatever you want, go and buy what you want. Do not be swayed by anybody's opinions but your own. When it comes down to buying an instrument, the most important person in that equation is you. It isn't anyone else. You know, it really isn't. It's down to what you want. You know, because at the end of the day, if you buy what you want, you're going to play it. If you buy what somebody else recommends to you and you didn't really want it, you ain't going to play it. It's not going to be inspiring to you at all. So you want to go and buy something that you want. So again, to me, that's like the number one rule when going to buy an instrument, pedal, amp, whatever. You know, is just don't get swayed by anybody or what somebody recommended to you. You know, go buy what you want. It's really important that you lock into what you want. It really is like mega important. And that brings me kind of neatly into my kind of like second point, if you will, which is kind of knowing what you want. You know, it's good fun sometimes to go to a guitar shop with a clear mind and go, I don't know what's going to be there. You know, and if I get something, I get something. If I don't, I don't. But if you're sat at home and you're like, I really want a Strat or I want a Jaguar or whatever, then that's what you go to look for. You know, forget all the others. It's always cool to browse. We all have guitars, so it's always good. But if that's what you want, then kind of make it easier on yourself and just go for what you want. You know what I mean? And again, it comes back down to, again, don't get influenced by other people, what they want you to have or what they think you should buy. Comes down to what you want. So if you want a Strat, go and buy a Strat. You know what I mean? It really is important to know what you want. It's the same as an amp. You know what I mean? If you want to play kind of like death metal and you go into the shop and walk away with a Fender Deluxe, it's not really the right amp for the job. You know, the same way as if you kind of like, you know, if you want to play like, you know, slow, calm blues and you walk away with a dual rectifier, yeah, it's not really the amp for the job. You want to know what you want. You know what I mean? And again, that's fairly easy, to be honest with you. We all know what we love and what we don't love because we're us. So don't ever be swayed. Know what you want before you kind of like set off, really. Sometimes it's good fun just to go to guitar shops. Funnily enough, people, too, when I bought this beautiful golden beauty in front of you here, I wasn't even looking for a gold top. I wasn't even looking for a guitar. We'd just gone into Anderton's to look around because I'd never been in before. I'd been there 3 times and I'd never been in the shop. And lo and behold, this was hung in the East Coast rack, and I was like, I need to try that. I have to try that. I can't leave the shop without trying it. And lo and behold, here it is. And it's literally one of my favourite. This is my favourite Les Paul I own by a country mile. It really is. I absolutely adore this guitar. And again, but I wasn't going in to buy anything. It just happened to be there. It was just the right place, right time. It is what it is. And again, it was just a match made in heaven. I didn't go in to buy anything, but again, that's the beauty of it. Sometimes that's the cool thing. But if you are actually purposely going out to buy an instrument, I'm going out to buy a guitar, not just browse, not just look around and see what there is, then know what you want and make a beeline for that. You know, go there and that's what you do. You know what I mean? It's always cool to go out and try other things as well, but if you know what you want, stick to what your gut feeling is, if that makes any sense. So, and again, that works for pedals, guitars, amps, you name it. You know, you just, if you know what you want, jobs are good in. So, next part I want to talk about is you have to ask yourself, when you kind of like, if you are after a guitar, it's like, what do you want it to sound like? You know, because it's kind of important, like, you know, if you want to sound like Jimi Hendrix, and you want to sound like Jimi Hendrix's Strat tone, you don't really want to go out and buy an SG. Jimmy played SGs, yes, but that's not his Strat tone, and a Strat doesn't sound like an SG, and SG doesn't sound like a Strat. It's like if you want to play like, if you want to sound like Slash, don't go out and buy a Stratocaster or a Fender Jaguar. You know, you need a Les Paul. That's the sound. That's Slash's sound. It's a Les Paul tone, and that's what you want. So, is it a single coil sound you're after? Is it a P90 sound? Is it a humbucker sound? Is it a motherbucker sound? Whatever. You know, is it? You need to. Again, these are all things that I feel kind of like go into the whole guitar buying process when you really want an instrument that you kind of like, right, this is going to be my main guitar, my main gigging guitar, recording guitar, whatever. You really want to know 100% what you want. Again, sound-wise, you know, it is really important. If you're doing a recording and you're like, I want a Strat to sound a certain way, then you have to go out and find that Strat that sounds that way. And again, you want to try everything you can. You know, there is no substitute for trying everything and getting experience through that. There is no substitute to that. It is literally everything. Going into a guitar shop and trying pretty much every guitar you see that you like the look of is everything, because you learn. Every time you pick up another guitar, you learn what you like, what you dislike. Oh, I don't like this, but I like that. And eventually you find what you want. So eventually you can pick up a guitar and go, no, or yes. And it is literally that. You only have to play one chord. I had to play one chord on this guitar, which was this one. It's the Green Manalishi chord. And I was immediately like, I want it. I want it. Because it just was all there. You know, and the same with the neck pickup as well. It just sounded like... It just sounds like... It's that Les Paul sound that I want. It's a Les Paul sound I hear in my head that I've yet to get. And now I have it. With the G-string playing up. As they tend to do on Les Pauls. Anyway... You know, that bridge pickup sounds like a Telecaster on steroids, and the neck pickup is just that warm Peter Greeny. Is that warm kind of Peter Green tone, which I love, but it's still got bite and aggression. And the closest Les Paul I got to that was my Revelation 59, but then this came along and basically just went like, hi Dave, and it's in my favourite colour as well, gold. Anyway. But knowing what sound you want is key to everything, because when you plug into an amp, you know what you're going for. Again, it just gets rid of any shadow of doubt. So if you can get rid of outside influence on you and then get rid of shadow of a doubt that what you want, I want it to sound like this. When you plug the guitar in, if you can't get that sound out of that guitar, it ain't the right one. You know what I mean? It's not. You need to keep looking. So yeah, that you need to know what sound you want. Again, don't be. I keep coming back to that, but I really can't stress that enough. Do not be influenced by other people. It's your guitar. It ain't theirs. You know, it's the same as relicking. If you like relicking, awesome. If you don't like relicking, awesome. But don't tell people they have to have a relic guitar. Don't tell people they can't have a relic guitar. You know what I mean? It's not yours. At the end of the day, if it's not your money, what does it matter to you? It shouldn't matter to you. You know, if people like relic guitars, then people like relic guitars. If people don't, they don't. It's not for anybody to say it's right or wrong. You can hate it as much as you want. It ain't going to stop people from buying them. You know what I mean? I've never understood that argument. You know, in all fairness, like, I never really understood the solid state valve argument personally, because again, controversial statement for the umpteenth time. I've never heard the difference between a valve amp and a solid state amp. I still don't. I literally don't hear any difference. Anyway, that's not about this video. Moving back to what we're talking about. So, main points, just to recap so far. No outside influence. Know what you want. What style guitar you want, and go by you. No one else is important in this equation. You are the most important thing. And know what sound you want. And that, you know, they're the kind of two key points where we are so far. I've got it written down on 4P2 as well, because sometimes I get sidetracked. So I've got bullet points, so I know where I'm going, which is rare for me, actually. I've done it a few times, and it's actually helping, which is good. Anyway, so next thing I want to talk about is stuff like feel. You know, the guitar has to feel right. It has to look right as well, and it also has to be the right colour you want. You know what I mean? Sometimes the colour can change, definitely. Sometimes you can pick up a guitar and you're like, I'm not sure about that one. But then you start playing it, it's like, oh, I don't care. That almost becomes null and void. But I do feel look is very important when it comes down to buying a guitar. And also kind of like, you know, how it feels is really important as well. If it's a struggle to play, you don't want that. You know, it wants to be easy. It wants to be fun. It wants to be nice and very, you know, forgiving, you know, to you to play it, so you actually enjoy playing it, instead of just kind of going, I can't quite do this lick, but maybe one day, and then you get carpal tunnel syndrome and can't play anymore. You don't want that. You want it to be nice and easy and just exactly what you want. Again, coming back to what you want. But I do think the look has to be right. You know, this guitar is literally the whole package to me. Look, feel, sound, colour, everything is perfect. Everything is perfect. And that is really what you want. It's sometimes rare. Sometimes you have to make a bit of a compromise on certain aspects of the guitar, but it can be done. You know what I mean? It really can be done. You can always find something that ticks all the boxes. Because this guitar feels like heaven. It's not hard to play. It sounds the way I want it to, and it looks, and it's the right colour. It's just perfect. And I wanted a gold top Les Paul. It looks like a gold top Les Paul, you know. It looks exactly how I want it to be. And that's exactly it, because then it inspires you to play it. When you get it home, in all fairness, PeopleTube, I am very guilty of this, is I will literally put this in the corner of the room, and I will stare at this thing for hours. As I do quite a lot of my guitars, to be honest with you, PeopleTube. All my guitars, I could just stare at them for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And invariably, it kind of zones me out, and then somebody's talking to me, and I'm not listening to them because I'm staring at guitars. But that's what you want, though. That's what you do want. You want it to be sat in the corner, and you go, I want to play that. So you pick it up and you start playing it. You know, that's what you want. You know, this has become an immediate gigging guitar for me, and kind of like, you know, my go-to humbucker Les Paul guitar, because it's just perfect. It's just perfect. You know, and not being, you know, the biggest kind of Les Paul user, this is kind of really made a dent on me. You know, I absolutely adore this guitar. I don't go anywhere without this guitar now. When I go back home, it comes with me. When I come back to Queenies, it comes with me. I never leave this thing anyway. It always comes with me. It's like my a couple of my guitars. They always follow me around because I can't be without them no matter where I am. And this one's just come in and just literally become perfect. And that's what you want. You want it to be sat. You want in the corner, and you go, I want to play that. And you want it to inspire you to play and get better. And again, if it's easy to play, that's what you want as well. It doesn't want to be difficult to play. So when you put your hand on the neck, if it's kind of like, it's a bit of a workhorse. There is something I'm going to talk about later on in the video about how it plays and stuff like that. But at this point in time, you just want to be able to get your hand around the neck and go, does that feel comfortable? And play it for about 5 minutes or so in the guitar shop. You know, that's what they're there for you to try these things out. And just try and play as much as you can on it. And if your hand starts to get fatigued, then it's obviously not the right one, and you know, unfortunately. And sometimes you do have to back out of buying a guitar. Sometimes you can go to a shop and it's fitting all the bills. It sounds right, it looks right, it's the right colour, but it don't feel right. And unfortunately, there are deal breakers in here. If it doesn't feel right and it doesn't play right and you can't play it the way you want to play it, that's a deal breaker. And that's the sad part about it. But we'll talk about that a bit more later on. Anyway, so but I do think the look and the colour and the feel are very important as well. Like I say, this is all really important. So again, when I saw this thing hung there like that, I was like, oh my god, it's the right gold I want. You know, it's the right look I want. It's got this gorgeous dark fretboard. I love the headstock on these East Coasts as well. There's something about the shape of these. I've given it a serial number, people choose, for my own records because it doesn't actually have one. If anybody was wondering, but I love the headstock look. It reminds me of almost like a Dan Electro, kind of like the Coke bottle Dan Electro headstocks. Not quite, but it's got that same kind of inward shape, and I really like it. But it just was like, oh my god, yeah. Anyway, stop gushing about your gold top, Dave. So moving on to the next point, and this is when you go, that guitar looks cool, and you go over, you look at it, it's the right colour, it's the right kind of guitar you want, and you pick it off the wall, and you're like, oh, that feels good, and then you go off and you plug it into an amp. Then the most important part is, does it speak to you? You know, and that is something that I can't describe or explain, people of YouTube. I can't actually put in words what that is and what that feels like. You'll just know. You'll know it here. Not there, you'll know it here. You'll feel it. When I picked up this guitar, when I picked up Mr. White and all the guitars I own, they just have a certain feel where I'm just like, I don't know what that is, but I love it. You know what I mean? I don't think there is a word, and I don't think there is a way to describe exactly why certain instruments work for us, and that's the one. But there is definitely something that goes on. You can just feel it. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. It's like that's when it's speaking to you. You know, this guitar, every time I pick it up and go to that neck pickup, that doesn't come out of anywhere. That comes from music, and again, that's what the guitar is enabling me to do. It's just music's just channeling that, and it's just so perfect. And again, it does happen. It does happen. Sometimes you get a guitar and like, nah, it's not really working out, but sometimes you get a guitar and it's like, oh my god, that's the one. You know, and again, it needs to speak to you. And again, I really don't know how to describe that because I don't think that's possible. It's like, you know, forgive me for being cheesy here, people of YouTube, but it's like when you fall in love with someone, you can't really describe why, you just feel it. And it's the same thing with instruments. You know, when you sit down with a guitar that's just the right thing, you can just feel that. Like, it's just crazy. It was like that with this guitar for me. Last time we were at Anderton's, Queenie bought a Schecter bass, which, in my opinion, is the best bass I've ever heard. And it's mind-blowing, this bass is. Anyway, she bought this bass, and this is what happened, and this is what I mean by this. We went into the bass room at Anderton's, and there it was, hung on the wall. And she goes, oh, I'm going to try that. So we got it down, and she sat down, and she went, oh. And that was it. She knew immediately that was it. Like, there's something in this. There's something really special in this. And that was it. She wasn't leaving the shop without it, basically, at that point. And again, that's what you want. And it was just so perfect. You know, it really was. So, and I don't know how to describe it any other way. It really is just an internal feeling that I can't describe any other way. It's just one of those unknown factors, you know, snake oil factors, if you will, of buying instruments, pedals, amps, and you know, and falling in love with other people and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. You don't know why. It's just right. You know what I mean? You just feel it. And that's the same way it wants to be when you pick up a guitar. When you pick up a guitar, bass, drums, ukulele, mandolin, whatever, and that's what you're looking for, and you just play. Because I can feel this guitar here when I play. Especially on that neck humbucker. It's just got everything, and that's what you want when you go and get a guitar or amp or pedal or bass or whatever. You know, that is what you want. That's what you want to feel. It'll speak to you on a level that you don't understand why it's there, but it's there. You know what I mean? That's what you want. So yeah. So that's that bit. It really, it really does speak to you. And also another thing as well, make sure the instrument's comfortable as well. You know, you don't, if you don't like heavy guitars, don't get a heavy guitar. You know, even again, if it's all right, you know, there does have to be deal breakers, unfortunately, people with tube, and it's very, very sad and very, very, very upsetting sometimes. But there does have to be a deal breaker every now and again, because not everything that's perfect is perfect, unfortunately, and that's the heartbreak we kind of have to go through in life, not just in instrument buying or whatever. Is like, not everything that seems to be perfect is perfect sometimes. So you've got to be aware, and sometimes you have to pull away from things you love because sometimes it isn't the right thing. Very philosophical, Dave. Anyway, and again, the guitar's got to be comfortable. I do have Les Pauls that are really heavy. My white Tokai Custom is 10.5 pounds. That thing's an absolute boat anchor. And I've got other guitars that are really heavy as well. But I'm not really being a Strat kind of guy. I've been a Strat guy. I'm not really into heavy guitars. And this guitar weighs as much as my Strats. So it's not really very heavy for a Les Paul. And it's not mahogany. So, although I think the next mahogany looks like mahogany. I don't actually know. In all fairness, I don't actually care because I love it. And that'll bring me to something else in a minute as well. But yeah, so you just got to make sure it's comfortable. Do you like the way the neck feels? Like, I really love rolled fingerboard edges. I love the rolled edges, and these are, on this guitar, they're perfect. And I have that on all my guitars. And if I don't have it on a guitar I love, I roll it myself. I'll sand them down and roll them off. Apart from the gem, actually, the Ibanez gem's just sat off camera over there, and I haven't done anything to that guitar because it's ridiculous as well. That's a perfect guitar as well. It's a bit creepy. Anyway, but yeah, just sit down with it. Just kind of like, you need to feel this thing stood up, sat down, and every which way between, because you need to know no matter what situation you're in with it, it's going to be comfortable to you to play it. Because if it's not comfortable to play it, again, deal breaker, sadly. But yeah, that is the thing. You need to make sure it's comfortable and sits right. It needs to sit right. And invariably, after doing this for a certain amount of time, you'll just know anyway. You'll know by the weight of things, the way they feel, the way when you put your hand on the neck. I only had to pick this thing up and I was in love with it. And again, just plugging it in and hearing it was the icing on the cake. It really was. Anyway, but yeah, it needs to be comfy. You have to have, the guitar has to be comfortable, or the bass or whatever you can play. So now, moving on to, I feel this is really important as well. When you're going guitar shopping, bear this in mind. The guitars in the shop will not be set up to how you want them to be. You have to kind of look past the current setup of the instrument to go, well, it doesn't play the way I want it to, but I know I can make it play the way I want it to by taking it to somebody or doing it myself, if you know what I mean. You have to be able to look past the factory setup, which invariably is terrible. The setup on this guitar was not very good at all. It was playable. Let's just put it that way. It was playable, but it wasn't good, and it wasn't what I wanted. And as soon as I got it back here, I set up the way I wanted, and it was perfect. So you kind of have to look past the CAC, sometimes CAC, should I say, factory setup, and kind of go, well, it doesn't feel quite the way I want it to. But I know if I lower the action, bring the pickups up, or bring up the action, or whatever, or bring this string higher than this string, and that string's too low to that string, and put a different gauge of string on it, that'll work for me then. You kind of have to look past it. You have to kind of like, have foresight to see that. But it's really important, because guitar shops don't really set up all their guitars. They can't. It's impossible. Especially if they've got loads and loads of guitars. You can't have all them set up perfectly. And again, you can't have it set up for everyone because everyone's different. Everyone has their guitars, basses, whatever, set up differently to how everybody else sets theirs up. You can't just be like, one setup works for everyone, because it doesn't. You know what I mean? Some people like a high action. Some people like a low action. Some people like medium action. Some people like heavy strings, light strings. Yeah, the list goes on. So you have to, again, think about what you want. And again, the action's a bit too low on this one, but it's okay. When I get it home, I can make adjustments and I can bring it up. Or the action's too high, the strings are too heavy, I'll change that, and then it'll be the way I want it to be. And again, just have that foresight to know these things. You know what I mean? Because you could easily make a deal breaker out of something that isn't a deal breaker just by going, well, the setup's naff. But when you could have just took it home, took an Allen key or a screwdriver and gone, did it in 5 seconds, you've got your perfect guitar. So again, be aware. Being aware of this is everything. It really is. You really need to consider everything, like in these factors, like a binding guitar. Really, you don't want to consider anything lightly. It all wants to be very, very deeply. You want to consider everything deeply. And not go, oh, well, it is what it is. You don't want to be that way. You want to be going, right, what's wrong? Really consider, is this the one? Is this the one? Or is it not? Is there a deal breaker in it? And try and find deal breakers as well, people. Try and find them. And if you can't find them, then wicked. But if you can, then you have to weigh it up. But it's not an easy thing to do, to be honest with you. I really don't think it is. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. Okay. So, but yeah, look through the setups, look through the factory setups, look at the guitar for what it is and go, I can change that. I can make that more me by doing X, Y, and Z. So, the last thing I want to talk about as well is something that's kind of like happened to me in the past, and I know it happens to quite a lot of people, is they'll get to a guitar shop to try a guitar, and they find a guitar and they get it off the wall. And sorry, I was dazzling the camera then with the guitar. They'll get off the guitar and the wall, and they'll go plug it into an amp, and then I don't know what to play. My brain's gone blank. I don't know what to play. So this is where I think you should have a list, even if it doesn't have to be mental. Have it written down on a bit of paper, or have it on your phone, or whatever. Have it written down of what you want to play. I want to play Under the Bridge and Voodoo Child and Sweet Child of Mine and whatever. You know what I mean? I want to play these songs and find the guitar that does it all to what I want and to sound the way I want and feel the way I want, look, colour, everything I want. Me. I'm important here. That's what you want to be thinking. I am the most important person here. You know what I mean? That's where you want to be when you're going to buy an instrument. It's all about you. It isn't about anybody else. Nobody. It's all about you, what you want. So I want to play this song because I want to know if the guitar sounds like the way I want it to sound like. So if you're playing like I say, if you're playing Green Manalishi, that sounds exactly how I would want that to sound. So I'm Happy Bunny, like if you're doing something else. I can't play anything copyrighted because, I want that to sound like Danny Kerwin. Does it? Yep. Does this do Peter Green? Yes. What I want in a Les Paul. Perfect. You know, have a list of songs you want to play, or licks you want to play, or whatever. You know, and go for them. Like I say, if you have to have it a written list or it's on your phone, whatever, do it that way. Do not be embarrassed by that either. You know, because it's happened to me a few times where I've gone to guitar shops and I've picked up a guitar, and you just go, oh yeah, here we go. Oh, this feels amazing. I can't wait to play. What can I play? Hang on. I had it a minute ago. What can I play? I don't know. But the problem is then, you're kind of leaving yourself open to being influenced by other people going, well, why don't you play this? It might not have been something you wanted to play, and it could be the deal breaker, but it's a false deal breaker. So, being aware. Consider nothing lightly when it comes down to doing this kind of thing. It's all relevant. It's all important. So, have a list of stuff you want to do. You know, have a list of songs you want to play and how you want to play them and with what sound. You know, I want to play Voodoo Child by Jimi Hendrix in a calm, slow blues thing. You know, I want to do it like that with lots of reverb and overdrive. You know what you want to do. And that will just make it easier because then you'll hear exactly what you want to hear instead of kind of fumbling around in the dark going, oh, I don't know. You know, you want to know. You really want to know. So you know, that's it. That's what you want to do, people. And this is kind of like Dave's Guide to Guitar Shopping. I might call the video down there Dave's Guide to Guitar Shopping. I mean, it's quite a stupid title. That doesn't make any sense, but I think it's hysterical because, like I say, when it comes down to guitar shopping or playing guitar, whatever, the most important person in this equation is you. What do you want? And I've said that so many times in the past in so many videos, but it is really important, I feel, to know exactly what you want. You know, how I want this to sound like this. Does it? No. Right. How can I change that or whatever? I want to learn this song. You know, if you want to learn it regardless. You know, if you want to learn How You Remind Me by Nickelback, learn it. If people don't like the fact that you want to learn that song, then that's their problem. Don't make it yours. You know what I mean? Don't let bandwagons ruin your enjoyment or your love of anything. You know, it's not fair for other people to have that much sway on you. It's all about you when it comes down to things. I want to learn AC/DC Back in Black. Oh, that's played loads of time. Why don't you learn something different? Oh, it's very easy, you know. When people are like that, you need to just kind of like, you know, push them away and go, shut up. And then go and learn Back in Black. You know, I have met so many people like that in my life that they are not worth the effort all the time. They're not worth your effort. You don't bet, and it's not worth making their problem yours. If you want to learn something that they consider, oh, that's easy, that is. I learned that when I was not even born. You know, if they're like that, then they're not important to what your progression as a musician, as a guitarist, bassist, whatever, because they're just an ego trip on themselves, and that's not helpful. What is helpful is if you go, I want to learn Back in Black by AC/DC, someone goes, oh, I know how to play that, I can show you how to play it if you want, and they teach you it. Or you go and you learn it, and somebody supports you in learning it and going, oh yeah, that's wicked, that's ace. Nothing good comes from belittling people. Nothing good comes from bullying people. Nothing good comes from putting people down. It's all about bringing people up. If all you can do is push people down, there's something wrong with you. You're missing something in you. And you have to look at yourself in the mirror at that point and go, why can't I be happy for everybody else? You know, why can't I be happy for people? Why can't I accept this fact that this person wants to learn this song that I really don't like? You know what I mean? And it's not important. What's important is that it's like, you know, as long as you're happy. And if what's making you happy isn't hurting anybody, then that's all that matters. It really is. You know what I mean? If you want to go and learn Nickelback's entire back catalogue, go and do it. If you want to go and learn songs that are considered easy, that's so easy, go and do it. You know what I mean? It's what you want. It's not what other people want for you. It's your life. It's your choices. It's your learning. It's your path. It's your road to walk. It's not theirs. Don't let them upset you, steer you the wrong direction, drag you off into a direction you're not happy with. You have to be true to what you want and go with what you want. Forget that other part of the world where it's like, oh, well, you got to do this and you got to do that. No, you don't. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. That's the point. That is the point. No one can make you do anything you don't want to do if you don't want to do it. I don't want to learn Sweet Child of Mine. Well, you've got to, because that's the way it is. Or I can't believe you don't know that song. Known people like that. I'm sure a lot of us have people to you. I'm sure a lot of you out there have experienced these kind of people who are like, you can't even play that. Just go away. You're not even worth my time. No, it's the other way round. They're not worth your time. If they're that way inclined, then brush them off. They ain't worth it. Because that is not the way to be. That is not the way to be in this thing. Music is not a competition. Life is not a competition. We've been fooled into thinking everything's a competition, and it just isn't. It's just not worth it. If you can just be happy, and you've got what you want, and you can just do what you want and learn what you want to do, and you're just happy and you're just content, that's all that matters. It really is. And the only way you can do that is by knowing you. You need to know yourself, and sometimes that's really difficult, and sometimes it takes time. And some people are kind of twisted in certain ways, but it's even harder, you know. But knowing yourself is everything. Knowing what you want, what you love, what you like, what you want is everything. And if people want to belittle you for that, or they don't like the way you are because of that, or whatever, that's their problem. It's not your problem. Don't make it your problem. Don't take it on. You know, don't add another rock to your backpack just because somebody told you to. You know, it's not worth it. It's really not worth it. You need to stay true to what you want and be who you are. There is no point trying to walk somebody else's path because it's not yours. You know, just, I want to go to a guitar shop to buy a Stratocaster. Well, I think you should buy a Les Paul. Shut up. I'm off to buy a Stratocaster. If you don't like it, it's your problem. This is my guitar. I'm going to buy this. You're not. It's not your money. It's not your choice. I can remember hearing a thing about Ian Pace, Deep Purple's drummer. And apparently he'd got this drum kit. It was a brand new drum kit. And he was playing at a Deep Purple gig. And basically it wasn't what he wanted. He didn't like it. And he got really frustrated throughout the gig with it. And eventually at the end of the gig, he smashed it up. He smashed the bejesus out of this drum kit. Apparently all over the music press the next day was Ian Pace smashes drum kit. It's disgusting. Blah, 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 blah. And Ian Pace said the best thing back. I bought it. I can smash it. And that's it. That is everything. You know, it's yours. Don't make it theirs. You know what I mean? This guitar's mine. No one's going to convince me otherwise that, like, you know, it's not. Or it's not the right one. I know it is. I know it is because I know me. And I can feel it every time I play this thing that this is the right one. You know, and I've waited a long time. If you've been on this channel long enough, you'll know how long I've waited for a gold top Les Paul. And to finally have one that I absolutely adore everything about, you know, it's something very, very special. It really is. And it's, you know, it took a long time. You know, I've wanted a gold top Les Paul like this since I first started playing guitar. And that's 20 years. You know, that's 20 years I've waited to get a gold top Les Paul like this. And it's crazy. Absolutely crazy that. But has it been worth it? Every second. Worth every second. But I never strayed the path. You know what I mean? I bought all the Les Pauls. I toyed with the idea. I bought all the gold tops. But they were never right. And then all of a sudden, one day, in Anderton's, on the wall, high. You know what I mean? And here we go. Yeah, this is my gold top. It really is. And that's what you want. That's what you want. And again, every time I just look at this thing, I mean, I can just look at it now and just fall in love with it all over again. It's just one of those instruments where I don't even have to play it to get joy out of it. And like I say, anyone who wants to belittle that by saying, it's not a Gibson. I've had comments saying, well, it doesn't say Gibson on headstock, so it's not a Les Paul, it's not a real guitar. What? It's not exactly ether. You know what I mean? It's not blowing away in the wind as some kind of like manifestation of my mind. This is actually a real guitar. You know, sounds like it. Sounds like a guitar to me. But again, that's another thing as well, people with Tube, is do not be put off by price bracket. You know, don't be put off by the fact of like, you know, oh, it's a cheap guitar. That's only for beginners. No, it's not. No, it's not. This guitar is amazing, and I would put it up against any Gibson. I really would. I would. I've owned and I've played a million Gibson Les Pauls, gold tops, vintage ones, you name it. Vintage ones, new ones. You name a Les Paul, I've probably played it at some point because I was a lucky sod. Worked in in vintage guitar shop, and I would happily put this up against anything because it does what it needs to do. You know what I mean? It's a Les Paul. It's as simple as that. Just because it doesn't say Gibson Les Paul on the headstock doesn't mean anything. This is a Les Paul. You know what I mean? Anyway, but again, like I say, if people don't think that, that's their problem. I ain't making it mine. It's not worth my effort, and it's not worth the stress. So, you know, if they don't want to admit that this is a real guitar, that's their problem. You know, I love this guitar. Nothing's going to change that, and that's the way it wants to be, PeopleTube. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that point, PeopleTube. Anyway, I wanted to do a video on this one because I think it's really important to kind of like, you know, to kind of like know what you want when you go in for these kind of, you know, when you go into a guitar shop to buy a certain guitar or this and the other. If you're not just kind of browsing and having fun and just looking around and whatnot and just trying whatever, if you're going to a guitar shop knowing exactly what you want, then I think this is all kind of really kind of, well, hopefully relevant. I mean, I don't know, hopefully it is. Anyway, PeopleTube, I hope you enjoyed this vid. I know there's been a kind of a lot of waffle in there, but hopefully there's something you can relate to. Mr. Fear is near. But yeah, hope there's something in it for you. And yeah, I will see you again for another video very soon. If you like the videos I do here, please consider becoming a patron at Patreon. Link to that is in the description box below, as well as links to my Bandcamp where you can listen to some of my music that I have written over the years. And yeah, other than that, PeopleTube, thank you very much indeed for watching. And again, always remember, it's about you, this thing. You want to learn guitar, you want to learn what you want to learn, you want to play the guitars you want to play, and you want to play it with the sound that you want. And if people don't like that, that's their problem. You know what I mean? It's down to what you want. Always be an individual. Don't follow the herd just because. You know what I mean? Because invariably sometimes they'll walk off a cliff, and you don't want to follow. So just be you. You know what I mean? Just be you. Know who you are. Look at yourself. Know what you want and where you're gonna go, and just go for it. Yeah. Don't be swayed or discouraged by other people's opinions, idiocies, stupidities, whatever. You know, always just be you. It's really important. Really important. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you again very soon for another one. Have a great morning, afternoon, and good evening. And have a very cool G major chord on a Les Paul.